Cable TV providers are forging partnerships with mobile carriers. I'm Winnie O'Kelly, reporting for Business Day Live. Later in the show, James Glanz will take us on a tour of one of the facilities behind the cloud in cloud computing. He will also look at how changing technology has empowered the boutique publishing industry. But first, I'm joined by Amy Chozick from our media desk. Good morning.
Hi.
So we think of the cable companies and the phone companies as enemies.
Right.
What has changed?
Right, it's really interesting. I mean, for years, cable thought it was going to get into wireless, and wireless thought it was going to get into cable, and these were arch rivals, these industries. And then last month, the FCC approved for Verizon to buy $3.9 billion worth of spectrum, or airwaves, from the cable companies. This is the cable companies saying, we're probably not going to get into the wireless business. It's too expensive, it's too complicated, we'll sell our airwaves to Verizon. But part of that deal is that the cable companies can now sell their services, their triple play cable services, in Verizon stores. So it's this melding of industries that we used to think, hated each other.
Okay, so what's in it for the mobile carriers? I'm not quite sure I get what's the attraction?
Well, if you think about what people want to do on their mobile devices, texting and phone service is the least of it. You want to watch shows, you want to be able to set your DVR, you want to be able to stream videos. All of the things that people want to do on their mobile devices really do intersect with what you want from your cable provider now, and that is TV not just in the home, but wherever you are, whenever you want it.
So if I'm going to watch my movie at Fios at home, I might watch it from something else on my mobile phone.
Yeah.
It might be yet something else. So what's the big advantage? What's the synergy of the two companies doing this together?
I think that the synergies, it really reflects kind of where consumers are going. Your mobile device is also where you want to stream video, and so cable companies want to provide the video wherever you are, and wireless providers want to have the the capacity, the spectrum, in order to provide that. So they get better 4G speeds with the spectrum purchase. Cable company gets to be where their consumers are in terms of mobile devices, tablets.
I was amused by your article explaining that there wouldn't be just one bill anytime soon, because that might be just too much sticker shock for the consumer. But what kind of consumer advantages could there be down the road if they really were to partner?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, they're getting really creative about this. You could have, if you have phone service from Comcast, for instance, and you're a Verizon customer, when you're in the house, your mobile phone could automatically ring at home. Or for instance, this is funny, but text messages could come up on your TV screen. But in focus groups, teenagers just hated that idea. No.
I can monitor my kids, finally. Exactly. I like this.
But
I like it.
we shoot a lot of video and photos with our phone. What if that could just magically appear on our TV screen? So there's really a lot of integration that could happen here.
No, it's really quite interesting. Thank you, Amy.
Sure, thanks for having me.
If you're trying to watch your favorite shows from a mobile device, chances are you're having the media streamed to you, as Amy was just explaining. And that data is coming from a library maintained on a data server, better known as the cloud. James Glanz has been writing a series looking at the people and the machines that power the internet. And he takes us inside a data center.
Countless times a day we make transactions online, and millions of times a day the data from those transactions has to pass through this thing we call the cloud. Essentially, the cloud is just the latest term for a data center. And in order to be able to shop or pay our bills online any time of the day, the data center must be up and running. I'm James Glanz of the New York Times, and I recently toured the data center of a large financial institution with Ken Brill, an expert in the field.
We're in the data center. The part we're in right now is sort of where stuff comes in, is broken down and split out, goes different places.
And what are these building blocks? I see these, I guess, little computers stacked one after another, hundreds or thousands of them that seem to make up this data center once they're wired together. What's that all about? What are those things?
Some of them are servers. Most of them are servers in one way or another. We've heard the word servers for the last 20 years.
Yeah, what is that?
It's like a little computer.
And these servers, they don't just run for free, do they? They actually take a lot of electricity. Can you give a sense of how much electricity this place is drawing to push all those bits and bytes around as I'm doing my transaction?
Well, it's about 5 megawatts, and that's the energy equivalent of a fairly good-sized community.
Well, this is the inside of one of the big cooling units that forces cool air down underneath the floor and then up through the hot servers in order to keep them running. Because all the electricity running through those servers generates tremendous amounts of heat, and so you've got to spend more energy to cool them using these units, which are all along the outside of the walls of these big server rooms. In this particular data center, there are servers that work so hard that they need an additional cooling unit.
This is what it's called a cold aisle containment, and it's a way of dealing with heat densities that we couldn't deal with in the rest of the data center.
Well, Ken, most people think of data as some sort of insubstantial thing that comes and goes and doesn't really exist in any specific place. But I guess what we're learning in this place is that data equals hardware. It's a substance almost that you've got to put somewhere once you create it.
What we see here relative to the past is so much more intense than anything you would have at home. It would take hundreds of thousands of individual hard drives to equal what we have in this room. For those things that we need to archive, we don't want to spend energy spinning disks all the time, so we put it on magnetic tape. Well, we're in the engine generator room, and this is where, if the utility fails for an extended period of time, that the cloud can continue. Because without electricity, the computers fail. In this room are 6 generators that would power a small city, like of about 30,000 people.
What would it be like in here if blackout happens?
Well,
you have to run these generators. What's it like?
We wouldn't be here without earmuffs.
Oh, really?
It would be very, very noisy.
So this place is roaring like a big factory.
Like a big factory.
Finally, once you're ready to put down the screen, you might be ready to pick up a book. There's nothing like the feel of a well-made tome in your hand. Many large publishers have struggled as ebooks have challenged their business practices. But changing technology has also given advantages to small publishers and printing presses. As with so many other industries, Brooklyn is on the cutting edge of this trend. Eric Olson from our video team has this report.
You know, publishing always meant Manhattan, and I think to come to Brooklyn and say we can publish too is to make a statement. And for us, it was like we wanted to make books, we wanted to design books, we wanted to see the books in the world that we wanted to see in the world, and through some combination of old-fashioned technology and computers, we figured out a way to do that that wouldn't break the bank.
The book publishing landscape has actually changed a lot. There's a lot more independent publishing companies than there were, and not just a number of companies, but a lot more sort of highly creative, inspired independent publishing companies.
In a way, all these tiny presses are coming out of the 90s DIY zine scene, just becoming more integrated with letterpress and print and more like design culture as well. I think it's moved way beyond tiny poetry presses, and it's become like an important part of the literary landscape, the small press.
The Brooklyn Book Festival ended on Sunday with the biggest year ever for this growing event dedicated largely to the printed page. Much of the festival was given over to the legion of small presses that have sprung up over the last decade in Brooklyn.
I think that over the past 10 years, Brooklyn has really taken the place as the sort of epicenter of independent book publishing.
A lot of the publishers who came out here in that first wave, I'll call it like 10 years ago, did face the perception that they were sort of removing themselves from the center of publishing. And then slowly it's as if the center of a certain kind of publishing sprang up around, and now for a certain kind of literary cred, you'd rather be with a Brooklyn press for a lot of people.
Experts say that the current rise in small presses is part of a new renaissance in independent publishing, the most significant movement since the explosion of alternative publishing in the 1960s.
I've heard that the zip code that we're in right now, 11215, has the largest number of writers per capita of any zip code in the country.
In independent publishing, like much of the rest of the publishing industry, margins are tight. No one is in this business to get rich. But every once in a while, a small publisher can hit it big.
We were fortunate enough in 2011 to have a big hit, which has given us a little bit of breathing room, and the desperation now is highly reduced. So this right here is a carton that arrived at our office yesterday containing the 10th printing of this enormous hit that we've had, Go the F to Sleep. And one of the wonderful things about this new 10th printing is that emblazoned on the back cover, we're able to print over 1 million copies sold. It's highly unusual for an independent publisher to have a book that sells 1 million copies. This is the Japanese edition. This is one of 2 Spanish language editions. There's a Eastern European. I believe that's the Portuguese edition. Here's the Hebrew language edition of the book. There's been some countries where people will tell you the people of such and such country have no sense of humor, and I'm here to say you're wrong. All countries have a sense of humor.
That's all for today. Please stay with us online at nytimes.com for our continuing coverage of this and other stories. I'm Winnie O'Kelly, reporting for Business Day Live. Thanks for watching.